Welcome to part 3 of How to Crochet Lion Brand Yarns Vanna's Choice Park Slope Afghan. If you missed out on part 1 or part 2 of this tutorial series, there are links below in the description field. Also, if you want to download and print the Lion Brand Yarns free pattern, there's a link for that in the description field as well. What I am going to show you in part 3 is how to sew or crochet the motifs together once you have completed stitching all the octagons and all the squares. Now, this is the pattern from the Lion Brand Yarn website, and you can see the diagram pictured here on how to lay out all the motifs. Now, I wasn't able, of course, to lay them all out for you because I only have limited space for my video camera. But this gives you an idea of what all the colors are going to look like when you put them together. It's actually a very colorful Afghan, and it's even more or less a masculine Afghan with this color palette, but you can definitely make other colors to suit anybody's tastes or color preferences. But just to give you kind of an idea of how it's laid out according to the diagram, letter A is navy blue, letter B is dusty green, letter C is dusty blue down here, and then D is chocolate, and then E is the linen, or mine's more of a cream. But those letters are given in the diagram, and to reference on the second page of the instructions, the colors are listed with A, B, C, D, and E specified. So depending on what colors you are using for this pattern, you can substitute and just make sure to keep track of what you want to do, and then you can still follow the diagram that the pattern gives. Illustrate to you how the patterns just say to lay out the blocks according to the diagram and either slip stitch the blocks together or sew the blocks together. That's the instructions. So I'm going to show you both ways on how to do that. So I'm going to start by taking the main color of my first block. So I like to take this block and sew all the blocks around it to it. I'm going to take my J crochet hook or the hook you needed to obtain the correct gauge in this pattern. I'm going to slip stitch. So I'm going to show you how to slip stitch the blocks together first. Form my knot, and this is the first block. And I like to join the blocks, and this is the same for sewing too. I like to join them in the back loop only. That way, when you view the Afghan, you just see the top stitches that are together, and you don't see all these different colors that you use to join your Afghan motifs together. So I am going to start by placing my hook in the back loop of the middle chain 4 corner of the square. Like so. And then I am going to take the octagon, and I like to put them wrong sides together, so the right side of the octagon is facing and the right side of the square is facing outward. And then I am going to take my yarn, and just in the back loops only, I'm going to slip stitch. So I'm just putting my yarn into the back loop of the first, well, I should say in the double crochet that we made, those 3 double crochets that made a corner. I'm going to put it in the middle one. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is the corner. This is 1, 2, and then the middle one is the third one. So I tried to put my hook through the back loop of that in the middle there. And then I'm also going to put it in the middle of the square. And then you just pull the yarn through all the loops on your hook. and then you continue on. So you just match up the stitches the best you can with each other, so the back loops are all touching each other or straight across from each other, and you're going to insert your hook into the 2 back loops, and you're just going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. So I don't know how easy you can see this. And I like doing this on some Afghans, but this one I thought would be easier for me to actually sew together with a needle, a blunt needle and thread. Make sure your needle is blunt too, because you don't want it poking through the middle of the yarn. You want it to go just through the spaces. But I'm going to show you what this looks like so you can see and determine for yourself which method will be most appropriate for you. Okay, so I'm kind of down to the corner here. So I basically went and crocheted as far as I could along the side. And this is what it's going to look like when you get it opened up. So like I said, I just slip stitched in the back loops only, trying to hide it so it'll be more in the back that you notice that they're joined together. And then it kind of creates this clean edge in a way, but there's going to be like a bump here because they're stitching underneath it. So I mean, that's fine for people who want to do that. So like I said, it's up to you, but if you were to continue on, I would just take another motif, line up the corners, and then so the right sides are facing outward and the wrong sides are facing together. And then you know, just starting where, okay, I lined up in the corners, and then I would slip stitch again, and then that would line up the brown one and the green one. So, but I'm not gonna, well, I could do a few more stitches to show you what that would look like. But it's, you would just kind of continue on. I kind of screwed up there too. That doesn't help. The yarn is fraying on me. It's kind of on the old side, so, but so I'm gonna rip this out because I decided I was gonna sew mine. So, starting with the green and the blue. So I have a blunt yarn needle from my sewing case, and just gonna thread that yarn through. And this time I'm gonna take my needle, find the corner, just like I did with the slip stitch. So that's the corner right there, and insert it into the back loop. So, like so. And then I'm going to leave a tail and then sew that in, much like how I crocheted. I like to keep my fingers and guide the tail along the stitches, and that way I don't have to weave my ends in when I'm done. But then I'm going to take my green, line up wrong sides together, and in the back loops of the stitches only, I'm going to insert my needle and then pull through. And a lot of people say that they like to slip stitch because it goes a lot faster than a needle and thread. And for me, it probably does, because you're always pulling through the yarn, whereas, and you have to cut out pieces and so forth, where the other one kind of works better. So we'll go like that, and then I'll just show you quickly, because it's the same as slip stitching, where you're joining in the back loops. Once you get around, I would join on another one, another corner. And that's kind of what that looks like. And that just prevents it from having a bump or a ridge from slip stitching it together. Have a good weekend. Bye.